The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondel.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Stage Door Show. This is Dave Hondel. Tonight, I have with me a tremendous country artist that's a multi-award winning singer-songwriter. He's been nominated for 11 Josie Awards, which is the world's largest independent music award show with over 60,000 submissions each year. We're so happy to have him with us tonight, so please welcome to the show, Trey Calloway. Thanks for being with us, Trey.
Thank you for having me, Dave. It's an honor.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, it's incredible, first of all, the Josie Awards have 11 nominations, and just, I mean, that's a tribute not only to your talent and your music, but the hard work that you put into it. And, so let's talk about that, being an artist and, all these years of out there grinding, so talk about the fact that you're nominated for 11. You actually won awards last year as well. So talk about being nominated for 11 awards.
Well, it's a testament to hard work. It's a testament to the hard work that my whole team has put in. Some of this little bit of success that I'm starting to have is 100% attributed to their hard work as much as mine. So Josie and Tina, the two ladies the sweet ladies that run the Josies, they're two of the best ladies I've ever met in my life. They really believe in guys and girls like me, and they're good people. They're good people. It's an honor to be a part of them. They have the award ceremony at the Grand Ole Opry every year, so we get to walk up there in our fancy rhinestone suits and be stars for a night. It's pretty fun.
Well, just the fact to walk up on that stage and accept that award in such an iconic venue like that. And, first of all, we talked about the hard work and all that, but, one of the things that you mentioned that I want to kind of get into a little bit is the fact that you have a team around you, like a circle of people that you trust and, it works hard as well. And talk about the importance of having that circle around you, because obviously, everybody needs to do their own work and be their own business person, but sometimes you need a team that you can trust. So talk about that circle that you have to build around you.
Gladly. Yes, sir. So I think, especially nowadays, the music business nowadays, you have to be, at the beginning, you have to be your team. You have to be a graphic designer and a songwriter, and you have to make band posters, and you have to design merch, and you have to pay for the PA and the trailer and the lights, and put the band together and be the band leader, and make the set list. It's a lot of work that goes into it, and I did that for years and years and years, and then I was lucky enough to be surrounded by a group of people who have really just believe in me, and it even encouraged me at times when I felt like giving up. Right before the pandemic was a prime example. I mean, I was about this close to just going back home and being a regular guy, and just kind of saying, hey, I'm just going to be a family man and work a construction job and be a happy guy and drink beer and grill steaks. And what I mean? I almost gave up on that dream. And people like the people that are around me now really kept me in the fight. And even when I was downtrodden and at my weakest moment, they brought me back up and made me believe in myself. It convinced me to move to Nashville and convinced me to make this record that we're working on now. And, I just thank God every day for those kind of people.
Back Road Believer, about that project that you're talking about. And,
yes, sir.
Talk about that single and, or the project that you're working on and what our listeners can get excited about.
Yes, sir. So the album is called Wanted Man. We've been working on that album for about a year now. And we've got the current single right now is a song called Back Road Believer. And then we've got one more single, and then the album drops on September 27th. So here in a few weeks. But the thing about this song is I grew up in a Pentecostal church. My dad was an evangelist when I was growing up. And so that's what kind of got me into the music business, was singing in front of his congregations. And that's the first memories. I was probably about 6 years old when I started singing in front of people. And so this song is semi-biographical in that regards, and it's very gospel oriented. It's got a gospel message behind it. And I honestly, I guess silly on my part, but I was like, does the Lord get talked about in today's popular country music? Is this something that is going to appeal to people? And to my surprise, this was my fastest song to hit 100,000 streams. They hit 100,000 streams in like a few days.
Wow.
And so I was like, well, God is good, man. That's a testament to it right there. So this song is something that I guess I doubted it a little bit. I was like, we have all these songs on the record about partying and, about heartbreak and, your typical country music tropes. But the song about the Lord was the one that got streamed super fast, and it's still climbing, and people are requesting it. And there's really two gospel songs on this album, what I would call gospel, and it's Back Road Believer, and then a song called Horses in Heaven. And both of those songs have become crowd favorites. So it makes me smile, because the songs that you thought were going to be the ones that, blew up weren't the ones that everybody really, really loved. So that makes me happy.
Let's talk about that a little bit more, because obviously, art is in the hands of the beholder, or the eyes of the beholder, ears of the beholder.
Yes, sir.
And,
yes,
people
sir.
hear things, they see things differently, and you never know what's going to hit out there. And I think a lot of times, people can sit around, their team and talk about, well, this one's a hit. This one, I think we'll wait on this one or that one. And, it's the one that you probably put at the bottom of the pile, the one that everybody wants to hear, and you don't realize it until you put it out. So I think, sometimes, we talk about timing, and we talk about, sometimes record companies will hold off on certain things until it's the right timing. I guess you just never know. I mean, humans are humans. They're going to like what they like. And sometimes
yes, sir.
critics and record people don't always know. So I think that's important for the listeners out there that are artists, to have confidence in everything that you put out. Don't second guess yourself, because you never know what's going to hit. Right.
The main lesson that I've taken away from this is be unapologetically yourself.
Yep.
If you try to do something that you think people are going to like, they'll smell right through it. They'll see right through it. And so, I'm still developing as an artist. I'm still finding my way and finding my sound. And, it just proved to me what I said before, that you have to just trust your gut, be yourself. Exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
You got to trust your gut. And that's what I did, man. And it worked out. Really, it worked out. It's working out.
It certainly did. I mean, with all those nominations, I mean, obviously everybody likes the music, and and I love the music as well. When You Walk In was a video. First of all, I have to give you kudos on the music videos that you put out. That's another thing for our listeners too, because I think, and I'm an old director of music videos from way back when actually they showed videos on TV. But now with the streaming platforms, you can still put out great content that people can watch on their phones, because I think it really does help market you as an artist, to put out music videos, and you put out several of them. So talk about your music videos, and how do you come up with the concept? Do you work with a director, or is it your concept, or how does that work for you?
It's kind of like working with a producer making an album. It's kind of a give and take kind of thing. Like, hey, what about this? Or hey, what about this? And we both bounce each other ideas off each other. So the man who directed the When You Walk In video is a guy named Tony, great movie director. He's based out of Myrtle Beach. He was, before I moved to Nashville, I had done that music video back at the beach, and we did it. The videos that we did with him were that one, and then we did Hilda's Family with him as well. And both of those music videos were done with very tight budgets, almost no money we had to put into them. And they turned out, I'm really proud of them, because they stand on their own. They're not big budgets with explosions going off and light shows and crazy car chases and this and that and other, but they're really honest and really fun. And when I look back on that chapter of my life, right before all of this kind of started, kind of rolling, before the ball really started getting rolling, we were trying to push it up that hill. It was like, I'm proud of that stuff. I sit back and I'm proud on it. And then you look at something like Miss Gone by Morning, was directed by a fellow named Logan, and he lives in Nashville. He's based out of Nashville. And that was when I started hanging out with a good friend of mine named Melissa Katz. She's a big TikToker. And so she was like, hey, I want to be in your music videos. And so she's kind of become the girl in the videos whenever we do music videos, and she loves it. She's one of my best friends. Her and her boyfriend are two great guys. They are two great people. They have a farm out in the middle of nowhere, and they just country folk, man. They do good though.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, who's your influences like currently in the not really growing up, but currently? I mean, who do you look up to, and who would you like to work with at some point?
Well, I think I'd have to say that my favorite country artist as of right now is probably Luke Combs.
Yeah.
Luke Combs is probably, and I think it's a little bit because of the fact that we're both from North Carolina. And also, I think that he has found a great balance of what, in a way, I'm trying to do, which is how do you take the messages of the 90s country and the classic country music, the story songs? How do you take that and wrap it in a modern package that will make everybody want to listen to it, but it still have that honesty and that truthfulness? And I think Luke has done that superbly well. Not only does he have a phenomenal voice and he's a nice guy, but he's stayed true to who he is as an artist. And another one that I would say is Zach Top. Zach Top's kind of in the vein of the Alan Jackson and the Tracy Lawrences, and he's bringing that barn burner thing back, which is really cool because a lot of my songs are that barn burner type of Garth Brooks and John Michael Montgomery type of 90s country, and he's done a good job of bringing that back. So time will tell. I think he's going to be around for a long time. I hope he's around for a long time. My all-time biggest influences, I have three. Let's do four. I'd say George Strait, Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, and probably Clint Black would be number four. Those are my four favorite country artists of all time. Johnny Cash is in there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Who can forget Johnny Cash?
Yes, sir.
Another thing was when you dream at night about playing at a certain venue, like what is that one venue that you just, before you die, you want to play? I mean, what is that one venue? 3 words: Grand Ole Opry. You stand in that circle. Huh?
Yes, sir. Grand Ole Opry. So I have a funny story to tell. It was not funny at the time. I didn't know how to react to the situation, but the longer this space has gone between that night and today, the more I'm comfortable with the decision I made. So when I was at the Josies last year, I won Song of the Year for Worth a Shot, which is a song that I wrote with my buddy Aaron Pax Taylor. And when it came time, all of the people were standing inside of the circle to accept their awards. And that's fine. That's their choice. That was their night. It was their moment to shine. I have no problems with them doing that whatsoever. But when it came my time to stand in the circle, I choked. I choked, honestly. And I said, and I told Tina, I mean, we're on the stage at the Grand Ole Opry, and I look at Tina and I go, Tina, I can't stand in that circle yet. I can't stand until I'm making my debut, until I'm singing in it. And she looked at me and she said, honey, that is fine. This is your night. This is our night. Do what makes you feel comfortable. So I stood off to the side of the stage where the announcer usually stands, and I've spoken to that microphone in the podium. And then I walked into the bathroom. I had gotten my awards, and I was on cloud nine. I was shaking. And I walked into the restroom to take a little break, get a little breather, and kind of, put myself back together. And this guy, I was in the stall, and this guy was talking a lot of, I guess apparently he didn't like that I had stood in the circle, and that's his, he's entitled to his thoughts and beliefs. And man, I handled it well. I opened up the stall door and I walked out and I said, I appreciate you, man. Sorry I upset you. And I walked out of the door. And I've told that story a bunch of times, and it gets a laugh out of people. But the more time passes, the more comfortable I am with that decision. I stood my ground and I stuck to my guns, and I just wasn't ready to stand in that circle yet. And I throw no shade at any other artists that they did. They wanted to, and they did it. They should have if they wanted to. But 3 words, man, Grand Ole Opry. I mean, I've been there a handful of times and seen some of the greats play there. Charlie Daniels, I got to see Charlie Daniels my first time I ever went.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. It changed my life. So that's definitely, I could talk about it all night, Dave. I could talk about it all night.
You're not the first person to tell me. You're not the first person to tell me they wouldn't step in that circle till their debut. I've always respected that. And I think you made the right decision to do
Thank you,
that,
sir.
because it's that much more motivating, that much more special when you do step in that circle
Yeah.
and perform for the first time, which I have no doubt is going to happen very soon.
But
So that's amazing. First of all, your music, like I said, when I listen to your music, I love that kind of country music. And I've asked this to many people that are in the country music business, but how exciting is it now, the way the country music has kind of blown up and become more mainstream? Because there was years ago when I was growing up that country music was a faction of, the award shows, and a faction of this, faction of that, but it wasn't as mainstream as it is now. You see people like Jelly Roll and even Beyonce is getting into country. I mean, it's so many people getting into country music, crossing over.
Post
And
Malone.
some like it, some don't. And I get that, but I mean, it in a way, it's shining a light on country music more than it ever has. So, what are your thoughts on the current state of country music? And I mean, are you excited about that, or is that something that should be more traditional? What are your thoughts?
I 100% am. So I have a theory, and some people agree with me and some people don't, but I'll talk to my band about it. And, we'll, at the end of the night, when we're cutting up and counting money or whatever, we'll talk about it. But I think that country is splitting into two genres sometimes. You've got your Appalachian bluegrassy, even Texas country, and your Western sounds coming back into prevalence. And then you've got your pop country, you've got your Beyoncés. And for me, pop country is not a new phenomenon, which I think is a lot of people, I think that it is. But when you go back and you listen to like country music in the 80s, in the late 80s,
Rascal Flatts, even, yeah.
It's even before that, Dave.
Yeah.
You go back and you look at Kenny Rogers from the 80s, from the late 80s. I love Kenny Rogers, but Kenny Rogers put out a lot of poppy stuff in the later part of his career. Even Dolly Parton had a lot of poppier sounding country songs, and she's never shied away from it. She owned it as she should have. Even bands like Alabama had poppier sounding songs. They got told back then that they were pop country.
Yeah.
And now we look. Exactly. And now we look at Alabama. Now we look at Alabama as one of the greats of country music.
Absolutely.
So
one of my favorites.
I think time puts a different perspective on things. I think Beyonce is an extremely talented artist. I think Post Malone is an extremely talented artist. For me, I think there's enough cake for everybody to have a slice. Yeah. You just have to put the work in yourself. You got to find your audience that cares about what you're doing, and you gotta work. I mean, I think I hope people don't think that it's easy to make it in country music, or easier to make it in country music than it is in any other form. I think it's sometimes harder, maybe because it's a smaller group. Yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe because it's a smaller group. But no, I liked that Texas Hold'em song that she put out. I thought it was really good. I'd like to know what you think, because this is why I like podcasts. Yeah. Because we're having a conversation. I'd like to know what you think too.
Right. Well, my thought is, I mean, I can go either way, to be honest with you, because I think sometimes when people cross over, because I've been in music for a long time as a music video director, and I've been in gospel, I've been in R&B, and so I kind of know a little bit about the business, and I think sometimes it's a gimmick, personally, when somebody's not in that genre and they try to cross over to take certain fan bases away from other competition that they might have out there, not in their genre.
Yes, sir.
That's just my personal thought.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan, personally, of Beyonce, but in her country music myself. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, kudos to her for, giving it a shot. And I mean, she's successful at it. So anybody that's successful in what they do is because of hard work. And so, I have to hand it to them there. As a fan, it's just not for me, but I'm more of a traditionalist, I guess. I am a big fan of Alabama, some of those groups that you mentioned, big fan of them. And I traditionally grew up listening to pretty much everything. I grew up around Prince. I was in Minneapolis growing up, so everything was Minneapolis sound, funk. But every year, and I've told this story before, I used to sit outside. I used to go to the Minnesota State Fair, which is a huge state fair, but they used to have big acts that come to the grandstand every night. during the week, and Alabama was a staple every year. They used to come in every single year when I was a kid. And so I would sit outside, and it was all open air, so you could hear just perfectly, the
Yeah.
concert. So I couldn't afford a ticket. I'd sit outside on the bench and listen to the entire concert when Alabama would come into town. I made sure that my mom took me to the fair during that particular night. So I love that kind of music. I mean, I'm a huge traditionalist when it comes to music like that. But again, we're getting into the age right now where I think it's exciting that country music is getting to the point where it's blowing up and becoming more mainstream. I think that's wonderful. And people like Beyonce and Post Malone and, people like that, I think are making it more mainstream because they're bringing their fan bases over to country music, and they're loving it. So, I mean, it is really not a bad thing about it. I mean, personally, I think it's good. It's just my taste in music.
Yeah, absolutely.
More traditional, but
well,
I can understand from a business aspect why it's popular.
Well, you make a bunch of great points. I think if like say Post Malone had come into country and made a song that sounded like what made Post Malone famous, which was hip hop and the rock influences and the pop stuff. If he had did it and just slapped a banjo loop over top of it and it was the same thing, then I would agree. I would absolutely be like, I would agree with people that are hesitant to let him in.
Right.
But Post has come in and made a really country sounding record that's really good. And so, I mean, like go back in time and go back to Ray Charles. I mean, Ray Charles had an exhibit at the Country Music Hall of Fame, probably a few years ago, I think now. But when you sit back and you listen, man, this man loved country music, and he made great country records as well as his R&B stuff. And so I think time will tell whether Beyonce was just doing it to say, I made a country song, or whether she plans to stay and pay tribute to country like it deserves to have tribute paid to it. You know what I'm saying?
No,
so you make me think. You make me think. I think your points are valid.
Well, valid. And again, music is great no matter what. I just love music, period. But I think there's a business aspect to things too. And speaking of that, and being an artist that's up on the rise like yourself, how do you kind of set yourself apart? Because I mean, obviously, as you know, with the streaming platforms, is saturated out there. I mean, there's millions of people that are trying to get record deals and trying to put their music out. I mean, but you're actually getting the stream. So why is that? First of all, how is that? I mean, what sets you apart from everyone else? Because you're obviously successful at it.
That's a great question. I think that it has got something to do with the fact that I have not stopped. I know that might sound
it makes sense,
corny, or that might sound like a cop out or something, but I've been playing music. I always say I'm old enough to know better and still too young to care. I'm in this period in my life and in my career where I feel vibrant and energetic and young still to do this and say, let's really hit this hard. And we've been hitting it hard for about really, as far as the streamings and the making records, for about 3 years now. And we've really been doing it hard. But I'm also a little bit wise. I'm not 20 years old anymore. And I've been around the block a time or two. Yeah. And I know what to look out for and what not to look out for. And I think for a long time, I tried to be the artist that I thought everybody wanted me to be. It was the height of the broke country thing. And if I had come to Nashville 5 years ago, I don't think there would have been much of a place for me there, because the cowboy hat and the boots and the buckle wasn't in style back then.
Yeah.
And I never really changed who I was. It was always like, this is me. This is who I want to be.
Right.
And if you don't like it, I mean, I guess you don't like it, Yeah, so right. I think, and another point is, I try my best to go out of my way and show every person courtesy and to take the time to say, I see that you came to my show, that you love my song. I take time to see that person, not just as a fan or a money source.
Right.
as a genuine person with feelings and cares and hurt and heartbreak. And, we were opening up for McBride and the Ride about a month and a half, 2 months ago now. And we played Horses in Heaven. And Horses in Heaven is about losing a best friend. The song wasn't originally written about me losing this friend, but every time I sang it, it became more and more in my head about losing this guy who was my best friend.
Yeah.
And he died of a drug overdose last year.
Stopped by to see you on my way home today. Laid a yellow rose by your cold stone grave. Tough as a saddle, strong till the end. A light in a dark world, and my best friend. Whoa, I held your head while your tired eyes closed. I still remember the last words you spoke. No, I ain't afraid of dying, 'cause I've seen what's on the other side. A cobblestone road, all paved in gold, and blue, clear skies. You can't tell me that God ain't a cowboy. Man, he's right there wearing a Stetson. And there's horses in heaven.
Every time I would sing it, I would see his face. And he was one of my best friends I'd ever had. He was like a brother to me. And after the show, this big burly biker guy comes up to me and he's crying and he's bawling. And he's like, that song made me think of my dad. Wow. I miss my dad. And I'm like, man, that's why I do this.
It's powerful.
That's why I do it, because if you could change one person's life, I think that's a career worth hanging your hat on. And I honestly, I hope that that's why people resonate with me, because they see that I genuinely care about folk. You know?
I agree with you. I mean, that's so, I love that. That makes so much sense. And especially now, I think, when people, first of all, way back when, I think when people sign a record deal or they got a distribution deal or I think they were more separated from people because we didn't have social media back then. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have anything that people have now. I mean, kids that grow up these days, I mean, they're attached to their phones 24/7. Like that's their life. And, and I think back then, they were more separated from their fans. So I think that there wasn't as much of that connection, I guess, to people from their music, and they'd see them at live shows, but, they'd go on to onto the tour bus, onto the next show. But now with social media, you can really connect with your fans and really hear about their feelings about your music. And I think it really lends itself more to being, close to your, when I say fans, like you said, I mean, people that go to your shows and your friends, it's an extension of your friends, and the way I look at it. And, and that's what I think, keeps people around, and that's what sets you apart, like you said. So I think that's so well said. And the fact that that you do that to the people that come to your shows and spend money and take the time to tell you that it means a lot to them. I mean, that's got to just be gratifying as hell.
Well, I have never, nor will I ever claim to be the world's best singer, the world's best looking guy, the world's best songwriter. But what I will do, what I will say, is that you will know that I genuinely care about you as a person. You come to my show, and I think that's maybe why people are starting to respond well, because they see that I'm a real guy. I mean, I have a 10-year-old son who I love with all my heart. I have a beautiful fiance. I get to marry next month. Love of my life.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I know I'm taking the plunge. I'm excited.
Good for you.
Yes, sir. We're excited. We're stressed. We're stressed.
Absolutely.
We're stressed. It's tough planning this wedding. It's been tough planning this wedding. And she's probably gonna watch this and go, "Who's been planning this wedding?" But I'm doing my part. I'm out here.
Nobody's gonna hear this, Trey. It won't go out.
She'll get me, man. She'll get me. But no, you make a great point. I mean, that's in my experience in the music business. It doesn't matter how talented you are. If people get sick and tired of you, the way you treat them, your career will be over pretty quick.
I agree, 100%.
And I'd rather have people who treat me with dignity and respect than some phenom, prodigy musician that nobody wants to be around.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
yeah. Oh,
yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And what kind of advice can you have for somebody that's just getting up or coming up in the music business like yourself? And I mean, with all your experience, I mean, you've had a lot of years under your belt, but somebody that's just like out of high school or out of college that wants to get into, the entertainment arts, regardless if it's a, singer, actor, whatever. So what would you tell that person that's just getting into this and what to expect?
The music business is extremely difficult. It is something that you have to want more than anything in the world. It is not something that you can do part-time. It's not. You might convince yourself that for a little bit, but if you don't wake up every day and do something to advance your career, you won't make it. Unless you just get lucky and you have a TikTok that gets 20 million views. That might happen. It's never happened to me. I've been at it for a long time. It's not happened to me yet. So when you're first starting out, don't worry about anything but writing songs that are true to you, that are what you want to say. And also I would say one bit of more of a technical piece of advice is start co-writing. Try to start taking trips to Nashville, especially if you want to be a country artist.
Yeah.
To start taking trips to Nashville. Meet as many songwriters as you can at the beginning. Write as many songs as you can at the beginning. And you might write 100 duds, but you'll write one really great one. And that'll be what'll start it for you. And, and I will say that if you love it and you put your heart and soul into it, you won't work a day in your life. Yeah. It is difficult, but it's extremely rewarding. It is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if it's something you love to do, it's not work. I mean, if it's something that you can do that you wouldn't get paid for, and you actually do get paid for it someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing better in life. I mean, that's the American dream.
Who was it? Neil deGrasse Tyson, the famous scientist.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think it was him that said, find the thing that you would do for free and make that your job.
Right.
Exactly. That always struck with me. That's a good saying. I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah,
he's a smart guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that quote. When it's all said and done, Trey, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to leave behind when people think of Trey Calloway?
On a personal, I say on a personal, and then on a career wise. On a personal note, I would like to be known for being the best father that I possibly could be. If I can stack up at all to the father that my father was, I think I'll be doing okay. Being a good husband, being the best husband I can, being a good friend to her, being her best friend, and always taking care of her heart, protecting her. And then I would say on a career-wise, I would like to play the Grand Ole Opry at least one time, and then you could put me in a pine box and put me in the ground. I think I'd be okay. But I'd also like to have one hit song. It'd be really nice to have at least one hit to say, because it's so hard to get a number one hit. I mean, it's so hard to, and then you think about somebody like George Strait, who's had, I don't know, I've lost count of how many number ones he's had now. So it's over 50 or 60, something like that. Just to have one, just to be like, man, I did that. We did that, would be something else.
Well, Trey, man, it's been an honor to have you on the show, and I hope you come back again sometime. And talk about the success for Back Road Believer, but I also want to hear about those 11 nominations and how many wins you're going to have. Even if you don't, you know what, the nomination's like a win. So
Sure.
again, the Josie Awards are very popular, and you know, best of luck on that, and congratulations on those nominations. And
Thanks, Dave.
you know, like I said, you're always welcome back on the show, and I can't, you know, thank you again for being on with us tonight.
Thank you, Dave. It's been a pleasure. I will definitely be back. I hope you'll have me back.
Absolutely, anytime, man.
All right, buddy. Sounds like a plan.